Voyager's flying along cataloguing stars when Kim says some of them look oddly familiar, and a decent line given to him in the first 30 seconds is rare, so looks like we've got a Kim episode. Tuvok and Janeway dismiss his comment as déjà vu, leaving me with the rather sinking feeling that we're also going to be doing some time travel. Oh goody. We come across a ship in our path and receive a call from its captain. Sun-Dried Blueberry says he's from around here and doesn't recognise us, but welcomes us to his territory anyway. First contact is tricky at the best of times, and it's certainly not helped by Kim screaming that Sun-Dried Blueberry is going to attack us, then taking control of our guns and pooping some yellow at him. Suffice to say, everybody else is unimpressed with his actions, but we'll have to deal with that later as Sun-Dried Blueberry is shooting back now. Kim is relieved of duty, and Chakotay takes over while we try to call them to explain that attempting to kill them was just a whoopsie. We best do it quick as shit's going bad in engineering, with B'Elanna walking about a bit and shouting. The ship doesn't like this and squirts some fog in her face. Whilst it's not green like the stuff that killed Traitor Guy, we should probably assume that she's injured. Janeway wants to scarp her, but our engines are buggered, so we instead shoot Sun-Dried Blueberry's weapons and they fuck off. Time to deal with Kim, who says he knew that Sun-Dried Blueberry was going to fire on them, but can't explain how he knew. Oddly enough, Janeway isn't satisfied with this, and a security guy escorts the now suspended Kim to sickbay so the doc can wipe that jam off his forehead. Down in sickbay, we discover that B'Elanna's very fucked up, with burns to her lungs. Kim arrives to watch whilst the security guard with him decides to wait outside, which is a very tenuous interpretation of escorting someone. The doc saves B'Elanna's life and Kim is relieved as Kez treats his strawberry-smeared forehead. He explains to her that he was absolutely sure they were going to be attacked, but now that feeling is fading. I suspect the choice of Kez here isn't a coincidence, and we might enter psychic shenanigans territory. On the plus side, that does lower the chances of time travel bollocks. A green laser sucks up the jam and Kez tries to reassure Kim before he leaves to rejoin his part-time chaperone. Back in his quarters, Kim treats us to a dream sequence, a montage of shots about what happened today mixed in with some stuff about his mum, and a couple of clips of a planet that may or may not be Zahadum, so it's probably bad news. Kim wakes up and goes to the bathroom, only for the mirror to reveal that jam's back, and now it's under his skin. The doc says it's not contagious, so that's a bonus, but he doesn't know what it is. There's also a minor change to his blood chemistry. Maybe that's affecting his brain. While we're in sickbay, B'Elanna wakes up. She'll be okay, though she's going to be there for a little while as she recovers. Kim comes over and says hi, before bottling it when trying to tell her that she nearly died because of him, a decision he may regret. I suspect B'Elanna would be far more forgiving of unintended consequences than lying by omission. Kim's off to see Janeway and take his lumps. She cuts him off mid-prostration to inform him that he was right. Sensor logs show that Sun-Dried Blueberry was secretly charging weapons and would have fucked them up good and proper. The question now, of course, is how he knew. He's been feeling like things in this area are familiar for a while, and that subdermal jam probably isn't a coincidence. No time for chatting now, though, as 3 ships matching the one we shot are on their way here. Our engines are still a bit bollocksed, so outrunning them isn't an option, but Kim goes to the helm and asks to see a chart of the surrounding area. He points at a planet, saying we'll be safe there, and, after Janeway is advised that our guns and shields are as fucked as our engines, she decides to pay them a visit. We arrive to discover it's the planet from his dream, and, happily, it's not Zahadum, but a place called Teresia. We know this because Kim recognizes it. A ship zooms over and starts pooping, but not at us, instead disabling all 3 of the Sun-Dried Blueberry's mates before giving us a call. The person we greet has a very familiar skin jam and greets Kim specifically, saying her sensors detected him. You see, he's Teresian, just like her, and now he's come home. We teleport down to their planet with a delegation to say thanks, and are greeted by a group with a significantly skewed ratio of women to men, and I think I've just figured out where this episode is going. If I'm right, Paris is going to be fuming that it wasn't him. A portion of the welcome party swarm around Kim, and their culture doesn't seem to understand the concept of personal space, or, indeed, personal face. We're told by the woman who saved us, who appears to have a shark jawbone in her hair, that Kim is really an alien. Her people visited Earth, knocked up his mum, then scarpered, and this is the normal method of procreation for their species. His being here might look like pure chance, but it's actually an innate genetic trait calling him home. To this I provide the following considered and measured response. Bollocks. The more likely explanation? Her species has a population imbalance, I'll let you decide between war or natural disaster, and needs alien jizz to keep going. Kim got infected with spaceballs a week or so back, and the latent memory is a part of that. Oh, and they probably drain the lads dry and discard them afterwards. That's where my money's going, so let's see how close I got. To their credit, the rest of the away team is skeptical of this explanation too, but we're giving them the benefit of the doubt. Paris has a chat with the other guy present, who confirms that men are rather rare, with the Teresian population being 90% female, and you can see the cogs turning in his filthy little brain. Janeway asks Jawbone Hair why they were attacked by Sun-Dried Blueberry and his mates, to be told it's probably because they detected Kim too. She says the Blueberry Empire attacks any returning Teresians, but can't, or won't, explain why. We're safe enough on the planet though, so why not hang around while the Blueberries get bored and sod off? The away team teleport back to the ship to consider their next move, but Kim wants to stay down here and, learn more. What would Libby think? Back on Voyager, the doc confirms Jawbone Hair's story. Not only is the genetic gubbins present in Kim, but previous scans of him show it too, hidden away in so-called junk DNA that humans have. Quite what we do with that information is another matter, but first things first. We're not going anywhere while the Blueberry Empire is sitting outside ready to shoot at us. However, Tuvok points out that if it's true they only attacked us because of Kim, we could go and have a chat now without any pooping involved. Sounds like a plan, so after letting Kim know, off we go to give it a try. Down on the planet, that other guy, who I now realise reminds me of Anakin Skywalker, which is probably why I dislike him, is talking to Kim. Some ladies arrive and try to drug him up, which Kim declines, and Anakin introduces us to his betrothed. Well, one of them. He's going to have 3 in the ceremonies tonight. As an aside, his betrothed uses the phrase joining, which I can't help but feel is a deliberately ambiguous choice. As an additional aside, during this scene, Kim spits out a line about his human parents making sacrifices so they could give him everything he wanted, a line that doesn't really make sense in a post-scarcity and post-money society. But, again, I digress. Anywho, Anakin goads him into further indulgence, and Kim begins to revel in the chosen one role. So chosen, in fact, that he's invited to stay. Permanently. To Voyager, who are currently meeting up with the Blueberry Empire. We're told that, now Kim's no longer aboard, there's no further need for hostility. When asked if this will change when he returns, we're told that's not going to happen by Sun-Dried Blueberry. See, nobody who comes home ever leaves. He's heard rumours about the Teresians, but doesn't feel inclined to share them with us. Long story short, he attacks any of the bastards he finds, and, in the unlikely event that Kim comes back, that'll include him too. He hangs up and we poodle back to the planet to try and figure out what's going on. Slight problem, they've locked the door and aren't answering. A shieldy thing prevents us going in, and all messages are being blocked. It's joining time, and the ceremony seems to involve big sticks with a knob on the end banging together. Kim and a group of Teresians circle Anakin while he's blindfolded, tied up, and daubed with paint by a veiled trio, presumably his brides. One wife holds up her hand and says the ceremony is complete, and he's led off to definitely not be killed. Kim's invited to the party/wake, but defers, saying he should really call Voyager, causing a look of some concern once he's gone. His attempts fail, and now it's his turn for a little concern, but Jawbone Hair is there to distract him with delicious booze and say they're probably just not back yet. Why not stay the night and get wankered with us? Janeway wants options. We've managed to find small holes in the shield, but we can't fit Voyager through. Probably just as well, as there are Teresian ships on the other side, and they'd likely fuck us up. In the absence of solutions, let's go and have a chat with the doc. He now thinks the Teresian DNA present in Kim isn't native, having been implanted. He tells us that previous scans show no evidence of the Teresian bits, which runs counter to what he said before about it being disguised in his human DNA, but let's ignore that for now. Teleporter logs show they filtered out something that could have caused the changes on a recent away mission, called it, but by then the changes had already been made to him, so killing the infection vector did nothing. A point to the writers here for both remembering that we have biofilters and providing a plausible reason why they didn't work. Oh, and the changes are continuing. Soon he'll be full Teresian. Kim's led to a bedroom to spend the night. After having aromatherapy oil smeared on his face, he has a little nap with another dream sequence where he ends up in bed with 2 women, before waking to find out that this is indeed the case. They try to convince him that he belongs here and that they could make him very happy as 2 of his 3 wives. Were this Paris, he'd already have agreed, but Kim's sense of self-preservation seems stronger than his libido. After realizing they aren't going to take no for an answer, he plays along and ties one of them up. The other realizes this is bullshit and tries to untie her, causing Kim to take a rather more direct route and twat her with an ornament, but at least he has the courtesy to feel a bit dodgy about staving in someone's skull. After scarpering, he finds the room where Anakin's staying and knocks on the door, which is a curious way of keeping a low profile, but I'm guessing this is the bit where we reveal he's a dried husk now. Our prediction is on the money again, though I will say he looks better than he did after his duel with Obi-Wan, so he's got that going for him. A point to the effects team for his body still having that paint on him, by the way. I imagine that would have been an easy one to miss. Kim checks the body, which is pretty fucking optimistic if you ask me, before being interrupted by a noise at the door. Kim grabs a stabby thing from the nightstand and hides as Anakin's widow enters the room. After a bit of threatening, she confirms that him being Teresian is bollocks, and they need DNA from alien races due to male births being so rare. They're interrupted again by Anakin's other widows. He tries threatening Widow 1 to keep the other 2 at bay, but they've got women to spare, so that isn't going to work. Instead, he implements Plan B, push her away and leg it. Back on Voyager, Janeway's hatching her rescue plan. We're going to ram a weak spot on the planetary shield with Voyager, after doing a science thingy to our own, then, after we break through, teleport Kim up and run the fuck away. It's not the most sophisticated plan, but I guess that means there isn't as much to go wrong, assuming they don't explode on impact. They'd best hurry as Kim's surrounded. He tries to escape down a side exit where he's attacked by Lita Alexander from Babylon 5, so I guess it was Zahadum all along. I swear to God I didn't know this was coming when I made the reference. Funny how these things join up. Anywho, she and her mates knock the shit out of him with wedding sticks and hold him. The bastard's getting married whether he wants to or not. Voyager has other ideas and, as Jawbone Hair tells him he's fucked, we teleport him away. The Blueberry Empire show up and, after a couple of poops at us, start focusing on the Teresians instead, as we put our boot down and make ourselves scarce. Later, in the mess hall, Kim's telling Neelix and Paris about it all, saying that there was something appealing about being more than just Harry Kim. Tangentially, on that point we agree, as the fake version of him now has a more detailed backstory than the real one. Kim tells us the experience has made him wish he was a bit more like Paris, an idea that even Paris realizes is fucking terrible, as we fly away. I've said for a while that Harry Kim is basically a character without, well, a character. You know something's wrong when a fake background is more compelling than the real one. A little reading suggests some of the people involved with the show agreed, as the original plan was to have the Teresian backstory be canon, and keep Kim as an alien for the rest of the show. Even Garrett Wang himself was on board with this, and I can't help feel that would have been an interesting plot twist, despite the logical inconsistency of it all. Instead, we got an episode that doesn't really go anywhere, doesn't really say anything, and doesn't really provide any development for those involved. Doing all that is bad enough, but to do it in an episode focusing on the one character who most desperately needs something, anything, to make them interesting? A bizarre choice. Kim remains someone to whom things happen, and that doesn't make him a character. That makes him a plot device. End of episode. Every day, hundreds of Starfleet crew members that aren't attractive or talented enough to be part of the main cast are killed in a variety of outlandish and often hilarious ways. But these walking corpses, slaughtered for our amusement, don't train themselves, and without constant replacements, many captains face the risk of losing someone that actually matters. With your help, we can make sure that doesn't happen. For just $2 a month at patreon.com/USSpedant, you can fund recruitment campaigns on planets that don't know any better, ensuring there's always an unnamed ensign ready to die, so the pretty people don't have to. Unless we need a ratings boost or it's the last season. Thank you.